Big Z Reviews. Madam Web is the newest film from Sony that's set in the Spider-Man related characters universe because they own everything that's related to Spider-Man when they could have bought the entirety of Marvel. Instead, they just wanted Spider-Man. That's the only people they thought they would care about. And this movie is just pretty bad.
I've been having visions. I knew he was gonna die. I think I'm seeing the future.
New York City's a whole new level of crazy these days.
What do you want from me?
So I usually try to go into films like without any preconceived notions of what's going on, like what everyone's thinking about this film. But it's really tough with Madam Web because even, all of the cast, like in different interviews and stuff, it's pretty obvious that they know the film is bad, but they still have to do all of their promotional stuff. And I don't know, it's just from the beginning to the end, the movie is just really bland. Like, that's the thing. At least Morbius was interestingly bad, and at least it was actually a superhero movie. The weirdest thing is Madam Web isn't a superhero movie. Like there's flash forwards that two characters have that show a group of Spider Women superheroes. And that's the extent of the superheroing. And it's like, why would you do a superhero movie without any superheroes? Like, from the beginning, I'm a big fan of Spider-Man. He's probably my favorite hero from since I was a kid. And he, like, there's the whole different universe. He's been around for so long. They've done a lot of different side characters. And also, in the past, decade, they've been doing this thing called the Spider-Verse. Like, it started, it's been around, but, and especially, it was big, and they created the Ultimate Universe, and that's when Miles Morales started, because, Spider-Man was killed and he took over. But it's also, around 10 years ago, or 9 years ago, something like that, they started doing the Spider-Verse, where they kind of introduced new characters, new plays on different characters. That's the most popular one that came from that is Spider-Gwen, or Ghost Spider, as they're now calling her. And that, that there's different things that they've done with that, so that the whole universe of different spiders, and they're connected via the web of life, all the different universe, all different versions of them. And in that, the main villains of that are the Inheritors, and they're soul vampires that feast on spider totems. They're from the very first universe, and they're traveling amongst all the universes, eating all of the spider people and growing stronger and stronger, and all of the spider people have to come together and defeat them. And then they did another version of that a couple years later with the Inheritors came back. And then the last one they did was with Shasera, which is kind of like a wasp lady that was stinging all of the spider people and turning them evil. And that one actually had there was some stuff there's because of someone lose their powers, and there was this dagger that you stab into and people, and it would remove them from the web, so they would take their powers, and it was they never existed. And that there's also stuff there when they're searching for the trying to get the powers back and find a way to defeat Shasara. And they got this, that was kind of in the, I think it was Mayan or something like that. There's temples with spider totems and special daggers and pyramids and stuff. And I feel like this is trying to get into that because, Madam Web, all of these characters that they decided to focus on here, they're C to D level characters, which is so odd to make a movie about them. Madam Web, and I'm not even, she probably has a couple of comic runs over the decades, but all I know of her is that she is an old lady in a wheelchair that's blind, that's a psychic, and is kind of in charge of the web of life, and she can She really helps everyone like figure out like connecting all of the different spider people to help them fight the evil guys around the universe. And like the other characters, like I didn't really know much about them. Like they're not the main spider people. You know, like even in all the recent different Spider-Verse comics and the movies. Like they maybe had a cameo, but I didn't like looking back, I don't remember any of them popping up very much. It's like that. It's so weird to do Madam Web and these three random Spider Girls instead of the original Spider Woman, Jessica Drew. Or I mean, there's like much more popular now, like Cindy Moon or Silk. I think they're talking about doing a TV series. Who knows after this mess? And I mean, or even like a movie with Spider Gwen, like I mean, a live action would be really cool. Like there's so many things you could do, and but it's so weird to do this. And if you're gonna do a Spider Woman movie, do a fucking Spider Woman movie. It would be so cool if they did like a group in a world where Spider-Man doesn't exist, but they have like a group of Spider Women that fight crime and fight other like supervillains. Because I mean there are like the Spider-Man the gallery of villains for Spider-Man is on par with Batman. And like you could there's ones that Marvel's never going to use. But the use for this is like a bad spider totem. Is a guy played by Tahar Rahim, and like I'm gonna have to get into problems with the movie. But his entire dialogue is ADR'd badly, and the voice that they gave him is really bad. So I can't imagine what it must have sounded like before they did all the ADR. Like it's, and for those who don't know, it's like ADR is like you'll notice it, like especially like some of the biggest times I've seen like the worst like situations of it is Val Kilmer in Snowman, when like he had throat cancer and his scenes must have sounded really weird, so they completely dubbed a different voice in for him, and it just looks so weird. Another one is Arrested Development, the final season on Netflix. That's what in a situation where they completely changed the story, so they had to use like footage, like pickup footage from like behind a window that they're looking at the people talking, because the thing is, if you do ADR, like sometimes they do it like and you mash exactly what they say, and that time in some you can potentially show their mouth, but other times if you completely change what they're saying, you're pretty much shit out of luck. You either have to like show the back of their head and show the person they're talking to, like the B footage, instead of you would be showing the A footage, or you show like a wide shot. And like it's just, and so much of it, like there's ADR like throughout the film for all the characters, but like that's mostly the stuff that's not that noticeable, where it's just like they're showing the back of the head of the character that's speaking, but like there's every single scene with Tahir Rahim as Ezekiel Sims, which is like an evil spider person. Like his entirety of his dialogue is badly ADR'd, and it's just weird. But I just don't get the story of this film. Like the script writing is so bad. I mean, dialogue is horrible, but just the whole idea of it, like it's kind of like an origin story for Dakota Johnson as Madam Web, but I don't know, that character isn't that interesting. She's not the main character. You know, she's a support character. And you think that they have these three beautiful young stars. You know, Sydney Sweeney, Isabella Merced, and Celeste O'Connor. And I think they should be the stars of the film. But like the movie can't decide. Like most of the film is on Dakota Johnson, and she's just kind of being a bitch to everyone and doesn't want to help anyone. But I guess I have to save them, because she keeps seeing deja vu, but like of them being murdered by this evil spider person. But like when you do have time with these three girls, like they're annoying. And like there's this whole thing with this movie, how it jumps between scenes is so awkward. But like they're in the middle of New York City, and then they drive like 15 minutes, and they're in the middle of the woods with nothing around. But then in the middle of the woods with nothing around is also a 5-minute walk away from a diner in the highway in New Jersey. And it's so funny. At one point, Dakota Johnson, she flies to Peru, and this is wow, like the exact, like almost the exact same time, like right before the scene before this, a guy saw in the newspaper about these 3 girls that the police are saying were kidnapped by Dakota Johnson's character. So like they're on the hunt for her. They're searching for this woman. And the whole big plot of this film is to hear Raheem, he bangs this the head of the CIA and murders her and steals her credentials and hires this woman to like set up all these computers to find these 3 girls that kill him in the future. And it's so funny, it's set in like the early 2000s too. So like at one point, like they're driving in the car and the CCTV catches her face in the car and they zoom in and it's like, cameras weren't that good in the early 2000s. What are you doing? But that's neither here nor there. But there's so many things that are so stupid. And the whole time, like, you don't get to know, like, who the hell is this Tahar Rahim? Like, who is this character? He killed these people and shot Dakota Johnson's mother to steal this magic spider. And he has the magical powers now, but you don't really see, like, what is his goal. You don't really see him doing that much evil stuff. Like, other than he kills a bunch of cops and he was trying to kill these 3 girls. Like, what is his goal? What is his plan? Like, he's a supervillain that just wants to not be killed by superheroes. Like, that's the extent of his goals or his motivations. It's just so piss poor, like script writing and drafting and like telling you who these people are. And the whole thing, like those 3 girls, when they're like this movie spends so much time on bullshit. Like, it's like a 2-hour long movie, and again, there's no superheroing. So like they're spend time just hanging out in the woods, and they're spending time in a diner, like dancing to the new Britney Spears song that came out. And again, like I said, Dakota Johnson is able to fly, even though she's a wanted criminal. Like, and she's driving around in a stolen taxi that no one cares about. And it's just, there's like a bunch of spider people in Peru that saves her. It's so weird, but it's also like, I was hoping that maybe it'd be so bad that it could be good. And it's just bland too. And the direction, the photography is so mediocre. They said some clips go around, they kind of break the rules of how you're supposed to edit the film together with like characters staying on the same side that they're supposed to be in. Although I think that one scene was cut up a little bit on Twitter. It's not quite as bad as it is in the film. But I mean, you could have done a fun movie. Like, I would want to see a Spider-Woman team up. That would be awesome. Have them going against a bunch of villains. Have them, like, the whole thing with the Spider-Verse is you have different universes. Like, have this be, like, a weird universe, a weird world. Have, like, Madam Web be a Spider-Woman hero, and then have her be facing some version of the Sinister Six, or some villains that Marvel isn't planning to use, and have them, like, blind her and like paralyze her, and that she's don't know what to do. The New York is going to be taken over by these supervillains, so she dives into her psychic version of her powers and looks for potential spider people and like builds a team, and these are the team, and she has to build this team. And like, I mean, I don't really care at all about that, about the Tahar Rahim character. So just completely axe him out. Or if you have him there, I mean, have some other character, like actually have him be a villain. And actually have people doing superhero stuff in the superhero movie. Like, what we got here is just like the weird deja vu film where like she's seeing this guy trying to kill these girls, and she's trying to save him. And so the climax of the film has the weirdest promotional material ever, where like she uses a Pepsi Cola sign to fight the villain, and it's so poorly done. And to me, it's not interestingly bad. It's just bad. And like I don't understand. Like I mean, this wasn't a cheap film to make. Like you put so much money in it. Why wouldn't you try to make something better? Like, I would never understand. Like they had to know at some point that this was bad. And if like films like Batgirl and like Coyote versus Acme, like if WB can just like try to write them off for tax breaks, like how does this film get released? Like it's so I want to know what happened. Because I mean, it sounds like Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney, they thought they were joining the MCU. They thought they were going into a Marvel film, a Disney Marvel film, and they didn't realize that it was a Sony film. And it makes me so weird that like Marvel was being very careful, because this last couple of years they haven't been releasing good films, except for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So like they're only releasing Deadpool this year, but Sony is releasing like 3 films. This is the first one. Then you have Craven, and then finally you have Venom 3, and it doesn't look good if those movies are anything like this one. At least Venom 3, at least Venom movies are fun. It's just so weird that the only clips of the spider people being spider heroes is like at the beginning of the film, when the guy's having a nightmare about the spider people killing him. And like they're kind of cool. Like the uniforms are like from the comics, and like these spider people, like a lot, they're like the weird ones that aren't that popular, but they have like weird like psionic powers, like a psionic webbing and psionic spider limbs, and like they're cool. But you get like a cut scene, like a minute long cut scene, and at the end you get like a teaser, like, hey, if this movie does really well, it's not, but if it does, maybe you'll come back and you'll see us actually being superheroes. Wouldn't that be cool? Look, we have these cool costume designs. Isn't that cool? We're showing you them at the very end of the movie. Like it's like I couldn't, especially like as the spoilers a little bit, but like Dakota Johnson, like she's getting powers, and she goes to visit the spider people in Peru that have all the spiders that give people powers. Like she could have taken the 3 girls with her to Peru, although they wouldn't have passports, especially the one that's illegal. But like or she could have brought spiders home to bite them, or she could have broken into this guy's building where he keeps his magic spider and given it to bite them, so that they have the powers. And that could have been the big climax, instead of them going to like the abandoned building from earlier in the movie and have this weird big fight that's not an actual fight. It's just them running from him, and her like trying to anticipate stuff and like using her psychic abilities to fight him, and it's just bad. And I just don't recommend it. Like to me, people could have fun time with it, but it just wasn't even fun. It wasn't that interestingly bad. It was just bad. Like it's such an odd film. I'd probably give it like a 3 out of 10. But thanks for watching. If you want to see more of me, you can subscribe down below. Thanks.